probably the most stunning of all these ancient structures. And the stones are immense, and some of them were cut from a quarry that's hundreds of miles away. How do you think they did that?
The world thought it understood who built the pyramids until an episode of Joe Rogan's Experience took an unexpected turn.
The granite in the pyramid comes from more than 500 miles to the south. They could move heavy blocks because they put them on wet sand and they pushed them along on wet sand.
Viewers watched as Graham Hancock explained that he had found out who really built the pyramids, and he actually brought proof. Joe Rogan was stunned as Hancock laid out evidence suggesting an advanced, forgotten civilization with engineering abilities far beyond what mainstream history accepts. According to Hancock, the clues had been overlooked for decades, and his findings challenged the foundations of archaeology itself. Who actually built the pyramids of Egypt, and why are we finding out the truth now? Stay tuned, because this revelation will leave the world stunned. Graham Hancock and the Pyramid Question. Graham Hancock doesn't fit the typical mold of a historian known for exploring ancient mysteries. Unlike Egyptologists or tenured professors in academia, Hancock's unique background sets him apart. Despite not being part of traditional archaeological circles, many people find him trustworthy. Before delving into the mysteries of ancient history, Hancock had a career as a journalist at The Economist. However, his focus shifted in the early 1990s towards uncovering forgotten, overlooked, or hidden aspects of human history. His inquiries were straightforward but impactful. What if civilizations in the past were actually much older than we believe? Could it be that the history we learn in schools only scratches the surface of a much larger narrative? And is it possible that important truths have been concealed by sand, stone, and years of academic opposition? For over 30 years, Hancock has journeyed around the globe to explore these concepts. He has investigated the pyramids in Egypt, the forests in Indonesia, the submerged ruins near Japan, and ancient temple sites in Central America. Throughout his travels, he has delved into geology, astronomy, ancient languages, and comparative mythology in collaboration with specialists in each area. His approach involves using various disciplines to identify connections and patterns that are often overlooked by mainstream researchers. While some traditional scholars criticize his ideas as being pseudoscientific, a large number of readers and viewers view him more favorably. They see him as someone who isn't afraid to ask tough questions and who supports his arguments with research, images, and personal observations that question commonly accepted beliefs. Critics argue that his theories are misleading or detrimental to the academic establishment, but many believe that he is exposing weaknesses in the prevailing interpretation of ancient history. This is why his appearances on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast have attracted significant attention. Through extensive conversations on the show, he has the opportunity to thoroughly explain his ideas, and Rogan's audience appreciates hearing perspectives that challenge conventional narratives. Hancock doesn't claim to know everything. He points out gaps in the official story. He often mentions on the Joe Rogan Experience that many supposed facts lack sufficient evidence. The Great Pyramid of Giza illustrates this issue well. The Great Pyramid is a well-known structure worldwide. Its vastness, accuracy, and durability are admired by many. However, upon entering the pyramid to learn more, one is struck by the silence inside. The official story is that Pharaoh Kufu, also called Cheops, built the pyramid around 2500 BC. It is said to have taken just over 20 years to build using limestone blocks, copper tools, wooden sleds, and a large workforce. This account has been passed down for many years through textbooks. However, Hancock asks a question that he has brought up several times on Joe Rogan's podcast. Where is the proof? Ancient Egypt was famous for documenting everything meticulously. The tombs of the royals are packed with writings, prayers, names, symbols, and acknowledgments of divine authority. Each ruler aimed to make a lasting impression. Nevertheless, the interior of the Great Pyramid lacks all of this. There are no writings on the walls, no carvings, and no decorative elements. The chambers are vast, quiet, and constructed entirely from massive stone blocks arranged with remarkable accuracy.
And then another one. Once again, you can see that the lid is ajar. Some of these boxes are granite.
The granite box in the king's chamber of the pyramid is unusual. It is simple, unadorned, and has nothing inside. There was no mummy, burial items, seals, or proof that Kufu or anyone else was buried there. This makes us wonder if the pyramid really belonged to Kufu. The evidence for this information comes from one cause, which is some quarry marks that can be viewed as ancient graffiti found inside a hidden chamber above the king's chamber. These marks were supposedly uncovered in 1837 by Colonel Howard Vyse, a British explorer who used explosives to gain access to sealed areas. According to Vyse's journal, he detonated his way into the chamber and came across inscriptions mentioning Kufu. Hancock and other researchers have raised doubts about the claim. Vyse was in competition with another explorer and wanted a big discovery to get noticed. There were no witnesses present when he came across the graffiti. His notes indicate some possible inconsistencies. However, the quarry marks are still the only proof connecting Kufu to the Great Pyramid. These marks are not visible on the exterior of the pyramid, nor are they mentioned in any documents from that time period. They also do not show up in writings from temples or royal tombs during Kufu's reign. This creates a confusing scenario. The ancient world's most sophisticated and accurate monument is officially attributed to a king who did not leave any evidence of constructing it. There are no inscriptions about its construction, no detailed engineering explanations, and no definite evidence of where it came from. As Hancock frequently mentions on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, this lack of information raises significant doubts. His idea is straightforward, yet disturbing. It suggests that Kufu may not have been the one to build the pyramid. Instead, it is possible that he simply took possession of it. This means that the pyramid could have existed long before Kufu's reign, and he may have renovated or repurposed it. It is also possible that later Egyptian rulers renovated older buildings without knowing where they came from. This theory could clarify why the Great Pyramid is so different from other pyramids from the same time period, many of which have crumbled into ruins. If this statement is accurate, it suggests that even the ancient Egyptians themselves may not have been aware of who constructed the Great Pyramid. The origins of the pyramid could have been mysterious, even during the time of the ancient Egyptians. However, acknowledging this raises a larger question. If Kufu did not construct it, then who did? And how was it built? This is when things get even harder to talk about. Building the pyramid is not only a question for archaeologists, but also a puzzle for engineers. The accuracy, size, alignment, and heaviness of the stones go beyond what we believe ancient technology was capable of. Hancock believes that the Great Pyramid is still popular because it sparks curiosity and raises new questions. His interviews on the Joe Rogan podcast are attracting more people because they allow for open-minded discussions. The pyramid's mystery encourages thought, questioning, and exploration of ideas beyond conventional beliefs about ancient history. A masterpiece that challenges everything we know. When you strip away the myths, legends, and well-known tales associated with the Great Pyramid, what is left is truly incredible. The precision, engineering, and mathematical consistency of this structure defy our understanding of ancient construction techniques. It is not just a basic monument built with simple tools. It is a display of extreme accuracy and careful planning that even modern builders would find challenging to replicate. To understand why, you just have to examine a few important details. One of the most impressive examples of the pyramid's precision is its alignment to true north. It's not aligned to magnetic north, which changes over time, but to true north, which needs precise astronomical measurement. The margin of error is only 0.05 degrees. Achieving this level of accuracy today requires advanced technology like instruments, satellites, and complex math. However, over 4,500 years ago, this was accomplished using tools thought to be made of copper and stone. This begs a straightforward yet crucial question. How was such precision even possible? The Great Pyramid's base is truly marvelous, spanning over 13 acres. Despite its immense size, the foundation is incredibly level, with less than an inch of variation across its surface. Even with today's advanced surveying tools, achieving such flatness would be challenging. It's hard to believe that this monument was built without modern technology. The more you observe it, the more extraordinary it seems. Next, let's talk about the stone structure itself. The limestone outer casing stones, some of which were taken out in later years, and the granite inner blocks are joined together with precise accuracy. In some areas, the stones fit so tightly that you can't even slide a razor blade between them. The joints come in various shapes, straight, curved, or angled, yet all the connections are seamless. These stones don't just sit side by side, they are locked into place. They are designed to bear weight, withstand pressure, and remain in position with impressive stability. This is not a haphazard stacking of rocks, but a carefully planned piece of engineering. According to the usual explanation, it is said that these stones were carved using copper chisels and dolerite pounding stones. However, copper is not strong enough to cut granite well. When scientists today try to recreate this process through experiments, they find it very difficult. The tools they use become worn out quickly, break easily, and create rough surfaces. Despite hours of work, very little progress is made in shaping the stones. The Great Pyramid contains approximately 2.3 million blocks, some of which weigh between 2 and 15 tons. These stones had to be mined, carved, transported, and placed with exact precision. The current timeline indicates that the entire building was constructed over a span of 20 years. If this timeline is accurate, it would mean that a stone had to be placed every 2.5 minutes. This would require continuous work around the clock for 20 years straight. The construction pace and level of coordination wanted for this task seem nearly impossible. There could be no major mistakes, and the mathematical precision of the structure would have to be consistent throughout. The enormity of this challenge is hard to comprehend. The inside of the pyramid is mysterious. The grand gallery, the king's chamber, and the connecting passageways were constructed with careful and intentional use of geometry. The dimensions display meticulous planning and mathematical knowledge. The height-to-base ratio of the pyramid gives a very close estimation of the mathematical constant pi. The design of the pyramid also indicates an understanding of the solar year, equinoxes, and the Earth's curvature. These aspects demonstrate that the pyramid serves more than just a burial purpose. It serves almost as a scientific device crafted out of stone. Graham Hancock suggests that the design of the Great Pyramid cannot be considered basic or random. He believes that the level of intelligence involved in creating the Great Pyramid is superior to that of the later Egyptian pyramids.
The three Great Pyramids of Giza are different from later pyramids. Once the Giza project is finished, pyramid building goes into a massive slump in ancient Egypt. Pyramids of the 5th dynasty are, frankly speaking, a mess.
While the later pyramids are unstable, falling apart, or heavily damaged, with some barely identifiable. This leads to the question of how the first major pyramid achieved near-perfect engineering, while the ones built later experienced a significant decline. Hancock believes that the Great Pyramid's origin might not be solely from the Old Kingdom. He suggests that it could have been inherited, repurposed, or constructed using lost knowledge. According to him, The pyramid shows an advanced understanding of engineering and mathematics that goes beyond what is typically described in history. The Great Pyramid is considered a remarkable feat of design and construction that still impresses and motivates people today. Its accuracy, precision, and size set it apart from other ancient structures. However, the mystery deepens when you think about how the massive stones were transported to build the pyramid. The origins, transportation, and installation of the materials used in building the Great Pyramid are still a mystery. Examining these specific aspects reveals more puzzling elements about the Great Pyramid. The pyramid mystery that keeps getting deeper. People usually mention the Great Pyramid's precise measurements, perfect shape, and alignment with the stars. The mystery increases when examining how materials were transported and placed during construction. The focus shifts from just how the pyramid was built to how such a complex structure was achieved with the tools of that time. Inside the pyramid, one notable area is the King's Chamber, which stands out because it is made of granite, while the rest of the pyramid is made of limestone. Granite is much tougher and heavier than limestone. The blocks of granite used in the chamber were not small. In fact, some weighed up to 80 tons. These massive blocks were transported from a quarry in Aswan, which is over 500 miles away from Giza. Just thinking about how heavy one block is enough to make anyone stop and think. Imagine moving many of these huge blocks, not only across land, but also upstream along the Nile River, then pulling them inland and finally lifting them over 150 feet into the pyramid. And supposedly, all of this was accomplished using just ropes, wooden sleds, and human strength. The following is the explanation that has been traditionally taught as seen in textbooks. However, there is a significant discrepancy between what was theoretically possible and what is purported. There is a lack of concrete physical proof demonstrating how this massive undertaking was accomplished. The prevailing theory involves the use of ramps. It is believed that workers constructed large ramps next to the pyramid in order to move the granite blocks upward. These ramps could have been straight, zigzagged, or spiraled around the structure, providing a way for workers to push the heavy blocks into place. Nevertheless, contemporary engineers raise significant concerns regarding this concept. A ramp capable of lifting such heavy stones would have mandated an extensive amount of materials. According to some engineers, the ramp would have wanted to be more than a mile long. Additionally, it would have to be wider and more massive than commonly believed. In reality, it would demand more building materials than the pyramid itself. A structure of this size should have left noticeable evidence behind. However, no remnants of such a ramp have ever been discovered at the location. Alternative theories suggest the use of internal ramps, pulley systems, or specialized lifting equipment. However, there is a lack of solid archaeological evidence to support these ideas. The commonly accepted tools such as copper chisels, wooden sleds, and ropes do not hold up well when put to the test. Experts in stonework have attempted to shape and transport granite blocks with tools similar to those believed to be used in ancient times, only to find the process to be extremely challenging, slow, and inefficient. Many modern stoneworkers believe that it would be impossible to replicate the construction of the Great Pyramid using only the tools that Egyptologists claim were utilized. Graham Hancock has discussed this topic multiple times, including on the Joe Rogan podcast. He suggests that the structures at Giza were not just built through manual labor, but also mandated advanced knowledge. Hancock believes that the builders possessed a high level of engineering expertise that has since been disregarded or forgotten. Although he doesn't have all the answers on how they did it, Hancock is convinced that the conventional explanation falls short on addressing fundamental queries. Whether the builders employed sophisticated lifting mechanisms or had a profound understanding of physics that is now lost to us, Hancock contends that the official theory has too many missing pieces. This raises a crucial question. If the pyramid was not constructed around 2500 BCE, as commonly believed, when was it actually built? According to Hancock, the answer cannot be found in inscriptions, tombs, or written records. Instead, he suggests that clues may be on the surface of the Sphinx.
Many people don't pay much attention to on the Giza Plateau and the Great Sphinx itself. This is an area of particular importance in understanding this issue.
The Great Sphinx is a well-known ancient monument situated on the Giza Plateau. It was sculpted from a single block of limestone. According to most experts, it was constructed around 2500 BCE, while Pharaoh Khafra was in power. However, Hancock believes this dating is inaccurate and suggests that revising it could provide insights into the builders of the pyramids. Dr. Robert Schoch, a geologist, is credited with introducing the idea that the Sphinx is more than just a cultural artifact. In the early 1990s, he studied the Sphinx and observed erosion marks on the stone. Schoch believed that the deep vertical fissures could not have been caused by wind and sand, but instead by heavy rainfall. Egypt has not had a climate that would produce this type of erosion for thousands of years. During the late Pleistocene, about 10 to 12,000 years ago, the region experienced enough rainfall to cause erosion. This suggests that the Sphinx was carved around 10,500 BCE. If this is accurate, it would alter the timeline of ancient Egypt, indicating that the Sphinx was constructed before the first pharaohs. It implies that there was a sophisticated civilization in existence much earlier than previously thought. Hancock used Schoch's research to support a bigger concept. He tied the year 10,500 BCE to the theory of a worldwide disaster. This catastrophe could have been related to a period of rapid climate change called the Younger Dryas. It is thought by some scientists that a comet hitting Earth or a huge flood from melting ice ended the Ice Age abruptly and wiped out ancient societies. If the Sphinx was constructed prior to this disaster, it could be a remnant from a civilization that no longer exists. Mainstream experts don't agree with this idea, but they have trouble clarifying the wearing away of the Sphinx. Wind and sand can't cause that type of erosion, only water can. Therefore, Hancock thinks that the Sphinx wasn't constructed in 2500 BCE. He suggests that the pharaohs might have just fixed up or repurposed it, similar to what they may have done with the pyramids. He mentions that the date of 10,500 BCE corresponds to a specific alignment in the sky when the stars of Orion lined up with the Giza monuments. Hancock suggests that this indicates the builders were not just working with stone, but also mapping the stars in the sky. The star message, hidden in the pyramids. Before Graham Hancock revealed his theory about the builders of the pyramids, he posed an important question on the Joe Rogan Experience. He pondered the significance of the pyramids being more than just tombs or monuments, but part of a bigger message. This message, he suggested, was not written in ink or on walls, but was instead connected to the stars. This idea ties into Robert Bauval's theory about the correlation between the pyramids and the constellation Orion.
Perhaps the most prevalent of all these correlations is with the Orion constellation. The constellation of Orion is one of the most prominent and recognizable constellations in the sky,
which has had a significant impact on how the Giza Plateau is perceived by many. Bauval discovered an interesting difference in the alignment of the three main pyramids. They are not perfectly lined up in a straight row, as the smallest pyramid is slightly off to one side. Previously, this unique positioning was thought to be a mistake, or a random construction decision. However, Bauval noticed that this same pattern is found in the constellation Orion. The 3 stars in Orion's belt are arranged in a similar way, with one star slightly off from the line formed by the other 2. This similarity changed the perception of the pyramid's alignment from being accidental to something more deliberate. Bauval used computer programs to figure out when the stars above Giza would have looked like the pyramid layout. He found that it matched around 10,500 BC. This discovery was unexpected because it aligned with Dr. Robert Schoch's findings. Schoch studied the erosion on the Sphinx and concluded it was older than previously thought. His research also pointed to the same ancient time period. 2 different types of evidence from astronomy and geology indicated the same ancient time period, which intrigued Graham Hancock. He found it unlikely that this alignment was just a random occurrence. Hancock thinks it suggests that the Giza Plateau was intentionally designed to mirror the sky on Earth, forming a celestial blueprint with precision and purpose. The concept gains more credibility when examining ancient archaeological sites worldwide that appear to have similarities. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey and Teotihuacan in Mexico, for example, have buildings that seem to mimic celestial formations. The arrangement of these structures indicates that ancient civilizations in various parts of the world possessed a profound knowledge of astronomy. This leads to the notion that there may have been a universal level of wisdom in the past that was more sophisticated than commonly believed. Hancock suggested on the Joe Rogan Experience that ancient sites are like maps of the sky on the ground. He thinks they were made by survivors of a big disaster who knew a lot about the stars and shapes. Rather than writing things down, they built structures that mirrored the sky, leaving messages that could endure for many years. When looking at it from this perspective, the attention on the pyramids changes. The primary inquiry is not just about the timing of their construction anymore. It now revolves around identifying who had the skill and knowledge to plan and build them with such incredible accuracy. If the time frame linked to the alignment is accurate, then the builders were operating way before established civilizations emerged. This suggests they had knowledge well beyond what was typical for people during that time. Hancock believes that evidence indicates a group of people from a forgotten period of human history. He theorizes that there was a civilization that existed before the last ice age, which was advanced in astronomy, geometry, and encoding information in the alignment of Earth and sky. These ancient people may have built monuments to pass down their knowledge through generations, even after their society disappeared. The unique placement of the smallest pyramid is an important aspect of this concept. It is more than just a strange architectural decision. It is a purposeful reference to Orion's belt. The alignment of the pyramids with the sky corresponds with evidence from the Sphinx. When we see similar star-aligned structures around the world, it suggests a common ancient wisdom, not a random occurrence. Hancock thinks that these monuments were created as a way to communicate with people in the future. The positions of the monuments were carefully planned, and the size of the structures were intentionally designed. He suggests that the people who built them were able to understand the world in a way that has been forgotten over time. The pyramids and other ancient sites serve as symbols of this lost knowledge. The main question is much bigger than just the pyramids. It's about finding the individuals responsible for creating something so precise, aligned with the stars, and full of meaning. The hidden builders of the pyramids. This is when Graham Hancock discusses an idea that most mainstream historians avoid. He claims that the pyramids were not constructed by Pharaoh Kufu or any other pharaoh. Instead, he suggests that a different group built them long before dynastic Egypt existed. Hancock thinks that the actual builders were people from an advanced civilization that existed before the last ice age, which vanished around 12,800 years ago due to a worldwide catastrophe, possibly caused by a comet hitting Earth during the Younger Dryas era. During his interview on the Joe Rogan Experience, Hancock discussed how these individuals were not considered primitive, but rather skilled architects, precise astronomers, and expert navigators. He referred to them as a forgotten group he calls the magicians of the gods. When their civilization fell, the remaining members carried their knowledge to different parts of the world, which laid the foundation for later ancient societies. Hancock views the Great Pyramid as one of their most significant contributions to humanity, believing it was not built as a tomb or a monument of vanity, but rather as a time capsule meant to survive disasters and cultural loss. When Graham Hancock talks about the similarities in pyramid structures worldwide, he references sites like the Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico, the temples of Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and the pyramids of Meroe in Sudan. Despite being from different cultures and time periods, these structures share mathematical, astronomical, and architectural similarities. Hancock believes these similarities are not random, but rather evidence of a common ancient knowledge that influenced builders across continents. Hancock believes that the architects of the Giza pyramids knew about sacred geometry, measured the Earth's dimensions, and incorporated the precession of the equinoxes into their structures. These concepts were only recently understood by modern science. Hancock argues that there is solid evidence to support his claims, which he has gathered through geological, astronomical, architectural, and global pattern studies. His research suggests the existence of an ancient and advanced civilization that predates anything recorded in traditional history. However, this raises a concerning question. If this is correct, why isn't the general public being informed? Hancock believes the reason is simple. Certain individuals are putting in a lot of effort to conceal this information. The most frustrating aspect of the pyramid mystery for him is not just the absent components, but the way those components have been intentionally concealed or disregarded. He often mentions a specific event that occurred in 1993 and completely changed the conversation. German engineer Rudolf Gantenbrink sent a small robot, Upu-Out-2, into the narrow shafts of the Great Pyramid. The robot made a surprising discovery: a sealed stone door deep inside the pyramid, leading to an unknown chamber. Instead of allowing further investigation, Gantenbrink was removed from the project by the Egyptian authorities, led by Antiquities Director Zahi Hawass at the time. They took control and denied him further access. The sealed door was never properly explored, leaving the mystery untouched. Many wonder why such an important discovery was not further investigated. Hancock believes that deliberate censorship is taking place. He then discusses another important event. In 2017, scientists utilized muon tomography to scan solid structures. This scan uncovered a massive hidden space above the Grand Gallery of the Great Pyramid. The void was big enough to hold a passenger airplane. However, nothing was done following this discovery. There were no further explorations, no cameras, and no additional research. Just silence. The ongoing cycle of shutting down inquiries, refusing to divulge information, and ending investigations convinced Hancock to speak out. During an interview on Joe Rogan's podcast, Hancock stated that he could no longer stay silent. He is of the opinion that certain findings are being concealed from the public not due to their threat, but because they would alter everything. If the pyramids were not constructed by ancient Egyptians, then the entire timeline of human history would have to be reevaluated. Numerous professions, organizations, and national narratives rely on the current perspective of events. Questioning it is not only bothersome, but also potentially groundbreaking. Hancock is critical of the lack of transparency in research and the abundance of obstacles in the field. He emphasizes the importance of seeking truth and questioning beliefs rather than accepting excuses. While he acknowledges he may not have all the answers, he encourages people to dig deeper and pursue knowledge for the benefit of both past and future generations. Hancock advocates for following evidence over blindly following tradition and embracing curiosity rather than being consumed by fear. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.